Hello, good evening. Good evening, Luapula. We are very aware that it's about 21:30 Luapula time, and here in Calgary, Alberta, it is 21:32. Wow. It's also 21:32. No, in Calgary, Alberta, it's 13:32, 1:32 p.m. I know that we have several listeners and followers of our page that are following us from the East Coast, from the West Coast, from Center, Mountain, Scotland, and everywhere else. So thank you very much for joining us. We are going to give you some time to spread the word around. Now, spreading the word around is very simple. You just hit that share button and there will be several people, hundreds and hundreds of people that are going to be following the broadcast. The reason why we do this is because we want to be deliberate, you know? We're not just trying to play around. No, we want to grow our listenership and everything else. So please share with as many people as possible. Today's topic is we are going to go to constituencies and we are going to look at the adoptions. So we'll be commenting on adoptions. Now, of course, in the time that we have allocated, we can't discuss each and every constituency. So basically, we're just going to look at a constituency of interest, and then me and my co-host, Mr. Noman Chpakupaku, are going to then look at the adoption, and then we're going to give it a grade: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that is what we are looking at. Now, we are aware that there are at least 3 provinces that have not yet been announced from the Patriotic Front. Okay? 3. So we are not going to concentrate on those, but we are going to concentrate on the ones that have been announced already, and then we are going to read some constituencies: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Elias Musha, and this is TV Bakwetu. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring in Mr. Noman Chpakupaku, also known as General. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Luapula. Good evening, viewers from Zambia and our viewers from all over the world, because I know everybody's watching this program. Good evening and greetings from Scotland.
All right. Now, in which city in Scotland do you live? Because isn't Scotland like a big, like copper belt, like Kopala?
Scotland has 4.5 million people. The big city is Edinburgh. I live south of Edinburgh, what we call the Scottish borders. But remember, we've got Glasgow, which is also north of Edinburgh. We've got Stirling, we have Edinburgh, we have Stirling, we have Perth, we have Aberdeen. These are the big centers. But I live south of Edinburgh, which is the Scottish borders, on the border between England and Scotland.
Oh, right on the border. Now, we have a very interesting topic today, and we are looking at the Patriotic Front adoptions. Now, I need to be very clear here and clarify something. It's like we are clarifying a lot on this broadcast. So, General, I want you to be very patient with me.
Well, you are in charge, Musha, and you are the lawyer, remember? So I'll always give you I'll always make sure that you're in charge.
All right.
You are not only in charge, you are the moderator. And I'll only correct you when it comes to military issues, like asking the commander-in-chief to move in the army to clean up the cadres. That one I'll correct you.
Okay. Now, I think this is going to sound controversial. We are being accused that we are so concerned about the Patriotic Front. Now, General, tell me, why are we so concerned about the adoptions from the Patriotic Front? I'll tell you my reason.
We are concerned because the PF is the ruling party. The PF have been in power for the last 10 years. And the PF is responsible for the mess in which we are. So for me, I am looking at what are they trying to do different from what they've done in the last 10 years?
All right. And so that's why it's important for us to discuss them. How do you then respond to people that are saying that you, Mr. Chipakupaku, you are UPND? You've made it very clear. Me, I'm not UPND, okay? I'm NDC. Now, you have made it very clear that you are UPND. And so, did I say that I'm NDC?
Well, you've always said you are.
No, that was a slip of the tongue. No, that was a slip of the tongue. Now, you have said that you are UPND. So then why should you not be concerned about your adoptions? And why are you concerned about the Patriotic Front adoptions? I want a very clear answer.
I am very, very interested in the adoptions of UPND. For instance, I will tell you that those who are not going to be adopted in the UPND, I would love them to support the people who will be adopted and not to stand as independents, because it doesn't make any sense. So yes, when the UPND adoptions come through, I would like to discuss them.
All right. Okay, but today our focus is on the Patriotic Front. Now, one of the things, General, that I want to bring up very clearly here is that when we formed the Patriotic Front in 2001, and the reason why I'm saying when we formed the Patriotic Front is because Michael Sata told us, all of us in Zambia, that we were members of the Patriotic Front. I don't know where you were in 2001. Were you in Scotland already?
I was already in Scotland.
Yeah. Okay, so this does not cover you. But for us who were in Zambia in 2001, when the Patriotic Front was formed, the founder of the Patriotic Front told us and gave this general invitation to every Zambian that all of us were members of the Patriotic Front. And that's why there are no cards for the Patriotic Front.
Exactly.
That's why we are entitled to talk about the Patriotic Front, because Chipa ni Chesu, it is our party. What do you think? Do you agree with this new thought, General Chipakupa?
Well, knowing Michael Sata, President Michael Sata, may his soul rest in peace, the way I knew him, he was a smart and shrewd politician. He knew by telling you that you are a member of PF automatically meant that you would automatically oppose MMD.
Right.
In 1991, Mr. Sata, for those who don't know, jumped from UNIP almost towards the end of our term in government. A few weeks, I think 2 weeks before.
Right.
So he was a smart politician. He wasn't just he was a very, very smart politician. By telling you that you are a member of PF automatically, all of you, he wanted you to oppose MMD. And he was also smart. He was also smart. Can I continue?
Yes, please. Yeah.
He knew that anytime there was violence from PF, you would automatically say, can you prove it that you're a member? You can't prove it.
Oh, okay. So at least that's what they were using. So when we come back to comment on the Patriotic Front, it's because we are following in the footsteps of our founder, Mr. Michael Chilufya Sata, in 2001. Now, I've seen a comment here that is saying it was 2011. People do not know that, and particularly the younger ones, they do not know that Sata founded the Patriotic Front in 2001, a few weeks before the 2001 elections. That's when he founded it. And
yes,
so we are going to talk about the Patriotic Front because it is our party.
Well, Mr. Sata thought he was going to take over from FTJ Chiluba. May his soul rest in peace as well. But he didn't make it. When he was dribbled and Manawasa came in, Mr. Sata was not happy. That's how he formed PF. It was sort of a protest against being given the chance to piano FTJ. So you are right, Munsha. PF was formed in 2001. I led the campaign from here against the third term, so I remember that very well.
Right. Okay. So then let's go to the adoptions under the Patriotic Front. We're going to start with Luapula. Is it fair for me to start with Luapula? Or you wanted to start with Central?
Can I suggest we start by the bombshell from the Luapula province and the big names which have been dropped from Luapula?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think we know that Charles Mambwe from Bahati has been dropped. My good friend Sebastian Kopala, who was former PS, I call him Mr. Bilten because he made a lot of noise about Bilten, has been dropped. And we know that the Honorable Mecha Ponde of Chifunabuli constituency dropped. Our former minister Kavanshi, who's I think still in court, so I will not discuss about her much. And Dr. Muchinga Dennis, former minister, dropped, is not adopted.
Right.
Anthony Malama in Chelenge constituency also dropped, and Honorable Mansam Mbolakulima. Those are the key ones dropped from Luapula.
Yes, indeed. Now, we're going, okay, so when we look at all those, we are going to go back to Dr. Kopala, because Dr. Kopala is very interesting for me. Okay. So we're going to start with Milenge, where my ancestral home is, where Mwansambula Kulima has been dropped. Okay. Milenge constituency. In Milenge, the new candidate is known as Chanda Masheke. Masheke Chanda. I need to give a little background about this gentleman. So he was the council chairperson for Milenge. And then he went to Milenge and caused tremendous confusion in Milenge. He created Kafwafwa. They went and upset everything in Milenge. The way we live, the way we do things in Milenge. This gentleman went there and completely confused Milenge. So I'm very surprised that this gentleman has been given the adoption. And you know what, General? Even the people they're saying that these adoptions are based on grassroots popularity, but this gentleman is not popular at all in Milenge. Everybody does not like him, but there he was. He has been given the adoption in Milenge. What do you think about it?
I don't know this Masheke Chanda fellow, but the name Masheke is very interesting because I have members, you know, a family who are called Masheke something. So I don't know this Masheke. And to be very honest, I've traveled most of Zambia, but I've never been to Milenge. So I wouldn't comment on that. I think I'll reserve my comment.
I think it's a very ugly adoption. As far as Masheke is concerned, it's an extremely bad adoption. I don't support it and I don't like it. Anyway, with the sources that I have in Milenge, my relatives and everybody, they say that in spite of their attitude towards this gentleman, they think that the PF might go through in Milenge actually.
So they might go through with a person they don't like.
Yeah, that's the contradiction. You see the contradiction? Yeah. So he's not liked on the ground, but they're saying that as long as any person who stands on PF ticket is likely to be adopted. Now, if Mwansambula Kulima, now I'm not sure about this, but if Mwansambula Kulima decided to stand, I don't know whether he would be able to upset Chanda Masheke or not. But anyway.
The story I hear is that some people would like to stand as independents, but they're being discouraged because, first of all, the way they adopted the names was almost last minute. And if you look at the filing of the nominations with the ECZ, they won't have any chance of standing as independents, most of these people. And the only chance they have now is either to do what is happening in some constituencies, like in the case of Malozo, where people are protesting now. So I really don't know how poor our colleague, the former member of parliament for Milenge, how he will respond to that. But it looks like it's going to be a very difficult call for him. I don't see him standing as an independent. The PF will make it very, very difficult for him.
Right. Okay. I think that's true. Now let's move to the neighboring constituency of Chembe. Sebastian Kopala, what went wrong?
The Kopala I know is an arrogant fellow. I knew him as PS, and he's a very, 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 very arrogant. He is a very arrogant fellow. And so I wouldn't be surprised that probably he stepped on some toes in PF. He wanted to compensate it by campaigning hard for Bill 10, but it has not worked. And for me, really, I think I don't know who's replacing him, but I think Kopala is arrogant. It's just like another Tutu Angulu who should have never been given a chance to stand again.
All right. So in Chembe constituency, they've adopted a Mr. Mambwempundu. So for me, regarding Dr. Kopala, I know that we differed regarding Bill 10, but I think he has a lot of experience as a technocrat in various governments. So he should have been given the chance really to maybe to run again, but they never really liked him for some reason. And I think maybe if you say that it is because of his arrogance, maybe that could be the case. But don't you think that all the people from Chembe and Milenge are a little arrogant?
He was a PS for Minister of Commerce under Chiluba, Commerce and Industry, and I think that's where I knew him then because I was the chief executive of Eastern Province Chamber. I also sat on the board of this Zambia Chambers of Commerce. That's when I knew him as a very, very arrogant technocrat. At times he doesn't want to listen. He didn't want to listen to anybody. So that's my experience of Kopala. And then the exchanges we had during the Bill 10, because I remember phoning in some of the programs where he told me that I'd never trained as a lawyer and I didn't know anything. So I told him he was not a lawyer either.
Yeah. Anyway, that's very interesting. Okay, so at least we've now discussed Milenge and Chembe, and I don't expect that there'll be any shocks from Milenge or Chembe unless there is a very popular independent that rises to counter Chanda Masheke and whoever they've raised up in Chembe. The other one that I think is a surprise for me is Mwense Central Constituency. David Mabumba. You remember the Mabumba saga?
That's a shocker for me. It's a real shocker. The man who did show his Mabumba is taken back as MP. To me, it's a shocker. It's a contradiction. We're supposed to be a Christian country. And if I was the one shortlisting him, that was going to be a no-no, because you can't do that as a minister. You don't expect that to go back. You can do other things. But you cannot do what he did, because in a Christian country we're supposed to show our good values. And I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, but you cannot go to a point where you do what he did. That's not acceptable.
What he says is he was being blackmailed. So he got a friend request probably on Facebook. That's my theory. Got a friend request on Facebook, and then thought that he was chatting with a real woman, and so then he decided to undress. Anyway, I do get you, General. Okay, I understand what you were saying.
I mean, to me, his judgment of getting a fake email or message, and you decide to do what he did, his judgment, I would doubt his judgment, especially as an MP and as a minister. Right. Definitely no. There are many other mistakes which we do. All of us commit mistakes, but not such a failure of judgment. And you're a minister. No. For me, I wish the people in his constituency could remind him to say, "We saw your Mavumba, so we're not interested."
What are you calling it, Mavumba? But you see, yeah, I think on the failure of judgment, I think I do understand your point, because you can't find a new person writes you either by email or by Facebook, and it escalates to a level where you begin undressing. Yeah, that's strange, particularly with what we think is a 419 scam, where they take pictures and then they want to extort money from him. That was pretty bad judgment. Don't you think it was just because of technology, probably?
Well, as a minister, I expect somebody to have the basic understanding of how this technology works. I expect a minister to be able to know that you can be blackmailed. It's basic. It's a basic training which every minister should have. I expect that every PS should be given information and training to understand the basic extortion that you can be blackmailed. Yeah. So if he can't understand that as a minister, then he's not fit to be a minister.
Right. Anyway, so Mwense Central, it's David Mavumba. Do you have any views of other candidates from Mansa? I know you do have an opinion or two. Which one?
Unfortunately, I don't know most of these people. There are people I know personally, but in Luapula, and I don't know most of these people personally. I can only tell you that I've heard people like Mbulakulima. He was very, very active person. But the rest of the new characters who are coming in, new MPs or new candidates, I really don't know them. So I wouldn't comment much. And I think
to remind you that Chilufya and Stotela, the people who were accused of corruption, they are on the list in Luapula.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say, is that the two people I don't know them personally, I must confess. But from what has been reported about them, I would find it difficult that the PF could adopt those two people.
Right.
If I was the one approving the list or is sitting in that central committee, I would have protested and said no. Because Zambians, they know what has happened. They must have been acquitted or whatever happened, but the Zambians know the truth.
Right.
That you cannot adopt people like those two people. And I am going to tell the UPNG guys that please go in this constituency and tell the Zambian people the truth, that these are not the type of people you would adopt as members of parliament or ministers.
Yeah, but Chilufya in Mansa and Stotela in Pambashe, they seem to be quite popular on the ground, you know? They seem to it would be difficult to beat them in a fair election, so to speak.
Well, it's possible to beat them, but knowing that there are ATMs, one of them is called Dr. Bonanza, so they'll be able to use their Bonanza option. So let's see how it goes. But to start with, they should have never been adopted at all, because what happened with the honeybee, which led to somebody losing his job, Zambians should never forget that.
No, I think it's a bad choice for Mansa Central. They should have abandoned him completely. Why do you think the PF Central Committee did not abandon Chilufya for good?
Because he's Mr. Bonanza, so he's got the money. So if you've got the money, you can shake around, you can threaten people. And remember that they need the people with the money. They don't want to. They don't want to cause problems in Luapula. And what I know is that there's this fight between Luapula United and the Real North United. So they wanted to balance things up.
Did you say Real North? What do you mean by Real North? we are going to differ here if you begin using such terminology. Huh? Which one is the real north? Ababe Bankonko are the ones you are saying real north?
I think you have used the right term.
Ababe
So
Bankonko.
Ababe Bankonko would want to be in charge, but they want to balance with Luapula. So Luapula, I think Chitalu Chilufya, because he's Mr. Bonanza, he must be very, very popular there.
Bachepa san, Ababe Bankonko, they can't stand against Luapula United. Bachepa. By far. By far, General, Bachepa san. Anyway, we'll go to Kubabe Bankonko and their constituencies. But for now, I think that's it for Luapula. But there is one particular candidate. His name is Nixon Chilangwa. Now, I went to Samfya and I saw Nixon Chilangwa. I met him. I saw the kind of things that he's doing. I think he's doing very well. And he's also a very good salesperson. Do you know about him?
I've never met Chilangwa, but I hear that he's first of all, I've never heard him insult.
Yeah.
If he does insult and call other people their tribes, he must be doing it privately. I've never heard him, and yeah. I follow him for his trade expos. You know, he claimed that Luapula had organized the first expo in the rural area. That's not true. I organized the first expo in Eastern Province in 1997. So tell Nixon Chilangwa to say he is not telling the truth. Eastern Province Chamber of Commerce organized the first expo in a rural area in Chipata in 1997. We had Mozambique, we had Angola, we had Mozambique, Malawi, and ministers from there. So, but I hear he's a good, well-focused minister, and he doesn't insult. And for that, I think I've got some bit of respect for him. I don't know him personally.
All right. So I think we've got to move on from Luapula. What do you think?
I think let's go to Ababe Bankonko, and I've got something very interesting there. It's the Kasama Central itself.
Okay, Kasama Central. Go ahead and tell us something about Kasama Central.
Kasama Central. Remember, that's the GPM's former seat.
Yeah.
They've dropped the young man and replaced him with GBM's daughter.
Sibongile Mwamba.
Sibongile Bwaria has replaced the young man who has been dropped in. The young man was chairman for the youth. What's his name again?
Kelvin Mutale Sampa.
Kelvin Mutale Sampa has been dropped. For me, I hear that Kelvin has not been popular with the youth because he was not violent enough. And yes, that's the information that we are getting, is that wasn't violent enough. That's why they didn't like him. And I also find it very, very difficult that all these people want their daughters and sons and daughters to be MPs. It should not be like that.
No, but they are political families. If the people really want these political families, General, then why not, right?
Well, let's see what happens with Sponge, because she stood on the UPND ticket and she lost.
Yeah.
And let's see how it's going to pan out this year. But for me...
Do you know rumors of who could stand against her in Kasama Central on UPND ticket?
I can't mention the names now because names are not, the adoptions have not been announced. So it will be unfair for me to do that. But I think UPND will give them a very, very interesting candidate. And from the reports we're getting, UPND is getting stronger in Kasama Central.
All right.
That's why, that's why certain people who used to make noise a few months ago on the radio are quiet. I'm not going to mention their names.
You won't mention them?
No, I won't mention them because I don't want to be seen not to be showing respect. I respect people. But somebody was very noisy a few months ago. He's no longer noisy anymore. in Kasama Central.
Au mwandini mwe. Mulampesha. General Chipakupaku ine mulampesha. Mwamana? Because you are saying that you are not going to mention the name, but the way you've described that person, I already know. Like now, not mention. But
That's,
I know.
That's good. That's good. I think let's leave it that way.
All right. Okay. So that's Kasama Central. Where else? Bankonko. Chinsali, I think Shiwangandu, they've maintained the Minister Kampyongo as the candidate, the current Minister of Home Affairs.
Yeah, Kampyongo, as the information we have is that he went and lobbied the chiefs. And I've got a letter from one of the chiefs threatening PF to say, if you don't adopt Kampyongo, PF is not going to lose here. So I'm not going to read that letter tonight, but I've got that letter from a chief.
All right.
Which was signed.
Do you think that chiefs matter, really? Do you think that chiefs matter? Do chiefs have influence over political choices of their subjects? I'll tell you.
Chiefs have only got one vote.
I'll tell you. Yeah?
The chiefs have only got one vote, but because the PF believes that the chiefs have a lot of influence, that's why they've been threatening in some areas, and that's why they've been telling some ministers that don't worry about this constituency, we have already won. Because let's face facts, the chiefs are trying to milk the ATM as well.
All right, I think so, because chiefs do not really, in the history of our country, chiefs do not influence the political choices of their subjects. Never. There's never been a single chief that has influenced political choices of their subjects, in my opinion, anyway. Because, and this happened to Kubabe Mbankonko. We can go back to Kubabe Mbankonko. In the last 10 years, Michael Sata insulted several chiefs of the Bembas, Ukubatuka. And even after Ukubatuka, several Bemba chiefs, the Patriotic Front was still the party of choice for the Bemba Nkonkos, in spite of Michael Sata's outright insulting of Chitimukulu and other senior chiefs of the Bemba aristocracy. Michael Sata was another one. The other reference I can make is Luapula. In 2011 elections, of course, in Mwansabombwe city itself, our senior chief there, Mwata Kazembe, for me as a Luapula, and even if Mwata Kazembe is the senior chief, I regard him to be a paramount chief. I think Mwata Kazembe, in fact, is the leader of the Bemba-speaking Commonwealth. I can't equate him with any other Bemba-speaking chiefs, including the paramount chiefs. He's far beyond that. He's a very, very stable leader. In any case, he could also not influence the political choices of his subjects. So I conclude that chiefs do not have the political influence over the political choices of their subjects. That is what I think.
Well, I think so, and I'm not sure what the Constitution says now. The 1996 Constitution said chiefs should not be political because their subjects are from different. That's just as supposed to be like bishops, like reverends, like pastors. That pastors should not be political. If they can support a political party of their choice, but they cannot go on the pulpit and say, support PF, like what we've been seeing with some pastors. Right. And so I also believe, I have a lot of respect for the chiefs, and I've known some of the chiefs personally, I will not mention the names, but they can support a party of their choice. What I think is not right is for them to go on a platform and issue a statement to say, vote for this one with a big nose. It's not right.
All right. So that is Nothern and Muchinga. What other surprises?
I think let's stick to Muchinga. Let's stick with the Nothern. Is it Muchinga? We have a very controversial person who has been adopted and replaced him, Malozo, the minister, former Malozo. Right away, as we were talking, 4 hours ago, there were demonstrations in Lusaka.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Malonzo sounds like a good guy. What happened with him? What was the
Malonzo
issue?
looks like
Why did they go?
Malonzo looks like he was a very good minister. I met Malonzo, I think, in Eastern Province when I was minister in Eastern Province, briefly when I was visiting, because I had some job to do. He looked like a very organized person. So in
Right.
Isoka, he's very, very popular, but they've dropped him. They've replaced him with a guy called, is it not, is it Isoka? There's Marjorie Nakaponda,
Yeah.
who's very, very unpopular. 4 hours ago, there were demonstrations in Isoka, and the people are saying on the ground, no Malonzo, there is no PF.
Mm.
And that is very, very serious. And I know that the whole of that region, it looks like there's going to be some chaos there. They've replaced Dr. Malama Martin with the noisy Sunday Chanda. That's a shocker for me.
Oh, why are you shocked with Malama's? Okay, I think they are all good people. Okay, I need to declare an interest here, right? Because bonse babiri ba Malama na Sande Chanda ba kaya. So I'm declaring an interest here. So inshallah, Ndepo. Areni, it's up to you to say something.
No, I know Malama very well. I know Martin very, very well.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going to apologize. He could have made a better minister than Kampyongo or for Home Affairs, because he's a well-qualified man. He's a very God-fearing man. He's very calm. I was only shocked with some of his comments in Parliament, which I was really wanted to fit in with PF. He didn't fit in. But to be replaced by Sunday Chanda, I think it's really strange. It shows to me the caliber of leadership which PF is looking for.
Right.
So I find that replacement very, very, very strange. And there is something definitely going to happen in Isoka if they don't change their mind. Isoka is gone. Because
now, what is the name of the new candidate for Isoka? If
the new candidate for Isoka is the Miss Marjorie Nakaponda.
Okay, Nakaponda.
I don't know her background.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I don't think Malonzo Schone, I don't think he's a guy who would cause confusion. What about Mwimba Malama, the deputy speaker? He's also been dropped.
Mwimba Malama has been dropped. Mwimba Malama has been dropped. I'm not sure which constituency Mwimba was.
Yeah.
But I can give you the constituencies here. We have Chinsali constituency. We have Mukosa. Mukosa is still there.
Right.
And Chama North, there's Tayachalo, Yotam, a new one, I think. There's Chama South. There's Mungandu Davison. And then there's Isoka. This is the Marjorie Nakaponda. And the Shuangandu, the helicopter man, we call him Stephen Kampyongo. And Kanchibia Sunday Chanda replaces Martin.
And
Peter, we've got Francis Kapyanga. I think this is the boy who was calling Zambians cockroaches and rats.
Right. I think we need to be very clear about that Kapyanga guy, that that candidature must be withdrawn.
This is the fellow who was on record, calling Zambians cockroaches and rats,
who should be excluded and cannot come to Mpika.
No, that's what he said. So basically, President Lungu and this Central Committee are endorsing the man who calls Zambians cockroaches and rats.
Right.
This is the same boy who threw stones at a convoy for HH.
And today he's a candidate from Mpika.
And today he's a candidate, and I find that abhorrent. I find that very, 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 in a Christian country. You know, I don't know what signals Mr. Lungu is trying to send to Zambians.
Yeah.
If you can reward people like that, what are you saying to Zambians?
Right. Right. Okay.
And then let's move on to Mafinga constituency. We've got Jacob Siwale, and then in Mfuwe constituency, Maureen Mabonga.
I think that's where I think Wimba Malama was in Mfuwe.
Yeah. Malama was in Mfuwe. And then we've got Nakonde, we've got Simumba there, Lucas Simumba.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about Lucky Simumba, but Nakonde, I think there was a change, right?
Yeah, Nakonde, there's a change. I think that there's a change there.
All right. Okay. So I think we've got to move from the north, unless from the north, both Muchinga and Nothern, unless you have other.
Yeah, the other one is, I'm not sure where Freedom Scars were standing. He's been adopted. And he has brought in his daughter as well, who's standing.
Okay.
And I find that strange that they've dropped somebody for them to create a position for Freedom Scars' daughter.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sad. Anyway, so how would you rate their choices in Pika and Northern Province? For me,
I think it's sending a very, very clear picture that they want people who are violent, people who are like that Mpika boy is very, very clear. I call him a boy because he is a boy.
He's a boy.
He is a boy. I have no apology about that. He is a boy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That language of calling Zambians rats and cockroaches is what brought trouble in Rwanda.
Right.
So the signal which Mr. Lungu and this Central Committee are sending is that those are the people they are rewarding. I wouldn't be surprised this boy to become a cabinet minister. Can you imagine?
Oh no, that would be sad. That would be very extremely sad.
But that's the message which Mr. Lungu and this Central Committee are sending.
Yeah, that would definitely be sad. Okay, so that's it from Luapula and Nothern and Muchinga, the Bemba-speaking areas and Mambwe areas and Biza areas. Now, of course, there is this issue of some people manufacturing a crisis where they say that Dr. Malama was Biza and Sandy Chanda is not Biza. All these distinctions, in my opinion, as far as Bemba Biza thing is concerned, are very artificial, and so I wouldn't even dwell on such distinctions. Do you think I'm right?
I don't believe in tribalism, and I look at people as good people. Malama is a good man. I don't care whether it's Biza, whether it's Lamba, whatever he is. Malama is a good man. Malama is a very well qualified person, and whatever Chanda is, I don't care about his tribe. He's an arrogant person. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah, and will not be good for Kanchibia, and will not be good for Zambia.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
Okay. Now we move on from there, and we come to Central Province.
Central Province. I have not seen the full list of the PF list. Have you got the list, Elias?
Oh yes, I do, but I can't access it right now. But something stands out for me as far as Central Province is concerned, because Tutwa Ngulube.
Oh, Tutwa Ngulube still standing
in Zimbabwe. Quite surprising. I expected that.
I think the message is very clear from the PF Central Committee. They are going to adopt the people who are so arrogant, who are so rude, and who are so violent. Tutwa Ngulube said they were going to break the bonds of the youths. He told the police to go and break the bonds of the youths.
Right.
And it's also known Tuta Nguluve's son broke the teeth of a child at school. So the message which Mr. Lungu at this Central Committee is sending a message that we will adopt the most violent, the most vile of the PF. To me, right. Tutu Nguluve should have been dropped. And for your record, Munsha, I'm flying to Zambia because Kabwe is my home. I am going to campaign against Tutu Nguluve. I'm going to spend a week campaigning if I travel in Kabwe Central before I go to the Eastern Province.
Yeah, and I think there is very clear chance that Kabwe can actually flip from the PF with Tutu Nguluve.
They are good candidates in Kabwe, both for the mayor and the MPs. They are very good UPND candidates. I think they will flip it.
Right. Okay. Muchinga constituency in Central, we were expecting now Howard Kunda, who is the son of the late Kunda, I've just forgotten the first name of our former vice president, George Kunda. Howard Kunda is an MP for Muchinga under MMD, but I think there were some indications that he might have applied to stand on PF because he was siding very much with PF, but he's not been picked. And so we are wondering whether the MMD will give him a chance because he's been a problem for Nevers, actually.
Yeah, I think MMD MPs, including in Eastern Province, my young man Mwale, the minister works and supply in Chipangali, is having the same problem. They are saying he's not PF enough. Yeah. They would rather replace him with a new guy in Chipangali who's new and noisy. So I think the PF and MMD will have that problem. Having said that, we have got the new alliance now. Nevers is not there, so it looks like they are going to have an alliance with PF.
Nevers is not where?
He's not in the UPND alliance.
But no. What do you mean? Isn't he standing on his own? Isn't MMD standing on their own?
Well, he is standing on his own, but we are informed that PF, MMD, New Hope MMD might go into an alliance with PF. So that's why we have Kunda having problems like that.
Interesting. That will be something. Anyway,
and that's why we also don't know where Hari Kalaba is going to stand. He's standing on his own. You never know they're going to have an alliance with the PF. We don't know. Right.
So Central, Luapula, Muchinga, Northern, we've looked at that. What do you think about Western Province candidates, Southern Province, and Northwestern? Any shocker from there?
For me, I think for me it's the Western Province where they are using the former UPND candidates.
Like in Masabuga. So I'm trying to think about what happened in Masabuga. So this is the ruling party that has access to the best intelligence, national intelligence. The president of our republic has access to so much both overt and covert information, and he never picked it. That the Masabuga candidate that they had picked is actually UPND. How is that possible?
It was a deliberate strategy. In Southern Province, Western Province, Northwestern Province, and a bit of Lusaka, PF deliberately wanted to field their own candidates and sponsor UPND candidates who didn't want to stand, and told them, no, you are very popular, you go and stand. And you look at one constituency where the UPND's candidate stood because it was sponsored by PF, and he knew that was not winning, and then all of a sudden he was told, no, we are giving you an adoption certificate for PF.
That's Masabuga.
That's Masabuga. So that was a deliberate strategy. Their strategy has been very clear. Split the UPND campaign, infiltrate them as much as you can, and probably pull out last minute. We are seeing it in Lusaka, where somebody already has announced that they're going to stand as an independent. So that has been their strategy in the Southern Province, in this Western Province, in Central, and Northwestern Province. And
Okay.
for Northwestern Province, the most exciting one is going to be Mwandi.
All right. And why is Mwandi so exciting? Because of Iris?
Because of Iris. I find it very strange that of all the candidates, we're all sinners. We're all sinners, Munsha. I've forgotten about what she did. But people, honestly, is that the best candidate you can give people of Mwandi?
Right.
Is she the best candidate? PF can find the best candidate. Is that the best candidate?
Because as far as Iris is concerned, really, there is no verifiable time at which there is a stop to the kind of thing that she was doing, right? It appears like she continued on, posing naked, posting pictures of being naked and things like that. So that could be a huge concern in Mwandi.
No, it's not a huge concern. She stopped because she joined PF and she was very close to somebody in PF who persuaded her to stand. It's known. Everybody knows what happened. But we are not going to discuss private issues here because we know the major sponsor.
Our record. We are going to strike that off our record. We don't know whether she got involved with anyone. What we know is that she is not the best candidate for Mwandi. Anyway, we'll let Mwandi people be the ones to decide.
Well, it's called democracy. We will see how it works out, but it will be a very, very interesting one. But the other one is Professor Lungwangwa, who I can think is a very unprincipled professor. I had a lot of respect for him. I find it very, very difficult, and I can't wait for him to be beaten by one young person who might be adopted in his constituency. That
would be good.
Nalikwanda.
That person, Nalikwanda. That would be quite interesting. So that is Western. Anything standing out in Northwestern? I understand that the chief Fisher that they had floated no longer is standing. They've changed him. Any reason?
Yeah, I hear the people went and protested and said, you are a chief. Just as I said, a chief, you cannot stand as a chief and say, I'm going to be UPND. You can go vote for UPND. You can vote for PF, but you cannot stand because you're splitting your people.
Yeah.
I found that very, very difficult, that a chief could be adopted as a candidate for a political party, because it's actually destroying our traditional system. Because you are splitting people. So I think the other province which I'm very, very interested in is Eastern Province.
Okay, now we need to announce to everybody that now we are shifting because we have only got, today we are not going beyond. The reason is I have meetings and several other things to attend to because imwe na bwira, general. Imwe na bwira, so you are preparing to go to bed. I'm still in the thick of things. So we are not going to go beyond time. But
probably let's not move to Eastern Province then. Let's pick up some comments.
No. We can't let this pass. I want you to tell me where you see Eastern Province, particularly there are at least 3 constituencies which are going to be controversial. Chipangali,
Chipata Central.
Chipata Central.
Yeah.
Where do you think this is going?
The latest news I have is that Dora Silia might be dropped for JJ. Again, sending the signal that they want the most violence.
Unbelievable. I know.
And the latest information we have.
Why she should be dropped?
Oh, yes. I think she's going to be dropped in favor for JJ. And that is a shocker. It's not a shocker. It just tells you exactly what Mr. Lungu's idea is. The more violent you are, the better you are. The guy who went...
If you watched the general, he went to a police. Please forgive my language. At Lusaka Central Police. No kubasecha. You know how serious that is. Getting all their money. Asenda JJ. Unbelievable. But he says that no, he just went to inquire. Who goes to inquire with weapons? Amazing. So you think that he will be picked for Petaoke?
I think he is going to be picked for Petaoke because PF is trying to get as, don't even say PF police and threaten the police. This is the guy who urinated in the mouth of a journalist.
What?
Yes, it's on record. This was a journalist in Eastern Province. This is one fellow who threatened even my own nephew, who was a journalist. It's on record, but he was never arrested. So what message is PF sending?
That's dangerous. Okay, so once we get the list for Eastern, Copperbelt, and Lusaka, we're going to come back, General. Okay, most likely tomorrow, we're going to come back and really confirm whether Dora has been dropped in Petaoke and whether somebody has been dropped in Chipata Central. I don't even know who it is. But looking that we are both from Chipata, we need to really think about what happens in Chipata and Chipangali. And then Chipangali, I'll be surprised if Maxwell Mwale will be dropped. Is it Maxwell Mwale? What is his name? Vincent Mwale will be dropped.
The minister, what's his name again? Not Maxwell Mwale. Maxwell Mwale is the former minister of mines, very close friend of mine again. But this is the other Mwale. What's the
Vincent Mwale?
Vincent Mwale, yeah.
Yeah. One of the longest serving MPs that we have in our parliament today. It will be very sad to see institutional history eradicated just like that. I would be surprised. If the PF are thinking about this, I would encourage them to keep Vincent, because what sort of a parliament are we going to have if all the old MPs are all gone? You know?
Not only that, Munsha. I've never heard Vincent Mwale insult in public. Never. Yeah. So whatever he is, MMD, PF, he is one person who focuses on his job. He's not perfect, but I've never heard Vincent insult.
Right. Okay. So that's Eastern. What are the little things you are hearing? Copperbelt.
Copperbelt is going to be interesting. Copperbelt is going to be interesting. To start with, the bootlicker might be dropped.
I'll be shocked.
Bootlicker might be dropped because he has no grade 12 certificate. So this is what we are getting. We could be wrong. But the Copperbelt is going to be interesting. Bwana Mkubwa is going to be interesting for PF because there's a very strong candidate who's facing the Minister of Health. The rest of the Copperbelt, I can assure you, UPND has got very strong candidates. It's going to be a big fight.
Yeah, like Chiwempala.
I'm also shocked that Kambwiri wants his son back in Ron. That's not going to be. It's going to be very interesting. How can he have his son versus Chanda, the mayor? It's going to be very interesting, Copperbelt.
Okay, we are going to come back. Lusaka is going to be very, very interesting. Luo is out. Okay, Luo, that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's not surprising. And so we are looking forward to a very new Munali MP from PF. Okay. I know that UPND has got a very good candidate in Munali.
Right. And so when do you think UPND is going to have their list? Because we must also come and talk about UPND.
By tomorrow, probably end of tomorrow, if not by Wednesday. But I think by tomorrow, most of the councillors have been announced. Most of them, they've got their their certificates. It's the MPs we're waiting for.
All right. And so are we, perhaps, is UPND waiting for a few rejects from the PF?
I don't think so. I don't think so. UPND, I can tell you that out of the applications for MPship, the parliament, we've had four applicants per constituency.
All right.
156 seats. We had 600 applicants.
That's a lot of money for the party. If they are all paying 3,000 kwacha, that's a good fundraising initiative right there.
There is a very, very, very big number, a big selection. Musha, before we go, I think ECZ has announced that there are 19 candidates, presidential candidates tonight.
They've all paid the 95,000?
They've all paid, including a very young man from Scotland called Lazarus Chisela, who's standing as a presidential candidate. It includes Harry Kalaba, 19 of them. So it's going to be a very interesting election.
Is there any way we can get rid of some? What can we do?
Some of them will drop out because they won't be able to raise 100 supporters. They will have to raise 100 supporters, voters who are voters in each province. So some of them will fail. Some of them don't have grade 12 certificates.
All right. We're going to be back maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, when the UPND unveils its list and when the PF unveils its list for Copperbelt, Lusaka, and Eastern Province, because that's going to be a shocker. This has been TV Bakwetu. My name is Elias Munsha, and my co-host is Mr. Norman Chipakupaku from Scotland, who is also called General. So thank you for joining us today, and we are going to see you next time. General.
Good night, Luapula. Good night, Zambians. Good night, Zambians, wherever you are. Remember to pray for a peaceful election. We want peaceful elections, free and fair elections in Zambia on the 12th. Remember, 2 days to go before Parliament is dissolved. 2 days to go.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to send the stars to TV Bakwetu, because TV Bakwetu survives on your stars, right? Thank you. God bless.